Hi there, welcome to breaking news in the Kenny Veach case. Just recently, a fellow hiker known as Scott Natal has finally returned in searching for the mysterious M cave and Kenny Veach within the Mojave Desert. However, upon his hike, things took a deeply unexpected turn, which could be quite disturbing to some people. Unknown to Scott went out there panning around with his camera. Some viewers in the comment section noticed in the mountains in the distance there appeared to be some kind of human-like figure stalking and lurking, watching down over Scott Natal. Today, I'm going to share that footage with you, enhance and analyze it to try and figure out what it could be, and to also acknowledge what's happened in the past. And take in mind, when the footage is played to you, listen in very closely, because the coincidental timing of what's caught on camera is what's linked to something Scott Natal says. Now, before we go any further, if you are interested in the Kenny Veach case and you want all the documented creepy findings and everything, there is a full playlist, top right corner where the eye symbol is up there. And if you do want to support the channel in general, below in the comment section, there will be a pinned message with a PayPal link. Be sure to leave your thoughts and comments down below and let me know what you think it could be. With that being said, let's play the footage right away.
It's real quiet right here for some reason. And I thought I heard somebody talking. Might have been the wind blowing through the caves. And I thought I heard somebody talking.
Hopefully you were able to see it clear enough. If not, I've got a screenshot of it available right now and I will enhance the image just to see if we can make it a bit sharper or clearer, if we can identify where it really is. I mean, the thickness of it, it does stand out. As for the height, that needs to be acknowledged too. Take in consideration Scott Natal within sheep range, which is a vague term considering it's quite a big area. Somewhere within the area of Kenny Veach hiking in once before. So it does make you think, when Kenny Veach was on his final hike, did he come across another hiker or some strange unidentified living thing which was watching over him? Whether that be military, some weird unidentified creature, all kinds of mysteries out there. And as I told you earlier about the possibilities of it linking to previous encounters, because other hikers like SB Vega's Adventures, Sean Horlacher, and even J Chuck Vlogs have either experienced footsteps but nothing to see, whispers and voices, Jeff Clark and SB experiencing technology failing, not working properly, lost footage being removed out of nowhere, out of their control, but mainly all of them noticing it afterwards when they got back from their hikes. And it appears to be the case with Scott Natal as well. As Scott was panning around, he did not notice or call out that in the distance what appeared to be lurking over him. Why is that? Is it because Scott was too focused on other things about when looking at the area and environment? It could be the case. But some comments were left and Scott said, "I'll have a look at it." But what does he mean by that? He'll have a look by going back out there hiking or looking over the footage? If Scott does, well, maybe this video can help in some way when it comes to enhancing it. And you might be familiar with how I do it. We just go over here, I'll zoom in as well as best as I can. I mean, the more you zoom in, it depends which, if you look at it from a distance, it's a fair size or so, but when you zoom in closer, it does look tiny. Got to take in mind, you do have bits of vegetation on the rocks up top as well, like straggly bits of vegetation. Can you see? But this particular one does stand out. There was another time where it was either Sean Horlacher or SB, and in the mountain area, some people were saying, is that a human or a person? Is that an antennae, some electronic equipment? And it was reported it was just brush, it was vegetation, a stick, tree, whatever you want to call it. But this one does stand out. It's just thicker and it's darker as well. Could it well be a person kneeling And what purpose or motive would they have lurking about, watching Scott Natal, or is it anyone who may go within the area? Take in mind that certain parts of Sheep Range and so at one point in the past after Kenny's disappearance was proposed to be taken over by military so they could control the area so it would no longer be publicly accessible. There's got to be a reason behind the military's interest there. So we're just going to work with what we've got here just to see what we can get from it. I think it's done the other way around this time around. The definition, sharpness is always important. The fact that it's so dark, it's actually quite difficult to make out at all. As I said, you can let me know your thoughts down below as to what you think it could be. Because do we actually have an outline of a human shape, a human figure? If you do it, it just creates not really much shaping. You know, you're looking for a head, you're looking for a torso, legs and arms, and it seems quite bunched together. Could it well be vegetation? Well, that's always got to be considered, of course. If it was a human or a being, why would it be so dark in shape and overall? I don't know, it could be clothing, coating. Can't really call it camouflage, but some like sheeting. Depending on how you increase the brightness, it looks like it's encased within something like a figure. But that just might be the lighting. As I said, there's only so much you can do with the editing tools. You don't want to make it too unnatural. It didn't really seem to move, but then again, Scott Natal with the camera, his hand was shaking, so you wouldn't really be able to get much from it. But don't you think it's interesting the timing of when Scott Natal mentioned about hearing voices, a sound like someone was talking? At the time of when Scott panned around and mentioned I can hear voices talking, and there appears to be a human-like or some kind of figure, appears to be, not too far away. Was the talking, whispers, noises coming from this on the mountaintop? The only thing Kenny Veach caught on camera on the mountaintops was a little bighorn sheep, and also Sean Hawlacker did too, in the same area near to when exiting Picture Canyon, which is a bit of a weird coincidence and a bit creepy when it's just still lurking, watching over as you come and go from the hike route. Did Scott come across his own presence of something unknown at the time? But even, in its lighting and tone and colour, it really does stand out. Now, you could link it to Kenny Veach. When Kenny Veach was out there on his final hike and he was looking for the cave, does his disappearance link to someone or something being out there and kidnapping him, possibly? And he's never been seen ever again. There's been a couple of other hikers that have been ever since and they've not gone missing themselves. But then, shortly after Kenny's disappearance, 2014, in 2016, there was a supposed hiker known as Eric the hiker who was supposed to go out but never really heard of ever again, or no updates whatsoever, so it's uncertain whether he went or didn't. And then there was also background claims of another missing hiker out there before or after Kenny's disappearance. Kenny Veach in 2014 October, the final recorded hike before he went back out. Kenny mentioned that down Picture Canyon there was rock cairns, rocks stacked on top of one another, which implied there was a fellow explorer before him within the time period or frame, who knows. But it's very creepy, the possible ominous presence of something else out there, which could be linked with the M Cave. Would it be a creature protecting the M Cave? Would it be military protecting possible equipment out there, scouting and reporting back? And if you get too close to something of interest, you might go missing yourself. The only other thing that needs to be acknowledged is the physical presence of another human out there exploring. Because when Scott Natal was hiking about, he came across some kind of rope or harness. Later in Scott's hike video, when he got closer to the mountains and higher elevation, at some point, although no coordinates were given, which is deeply disappointing, some rock formations upon climbing up and getting a bit of elevation by hand naturally, because take in mind Scott Natal was also able to go into the mine shaft without any safety ropes. Take that into consideration. At this point, when panning about slightly higher up, notice rock formation, vegetation on the left, and underneath it was like a gap, and that's probably all it is, with some blue harness or rope used to climb up. But where does it quite lead to? And it was appearing to be a dead end, so where would you be going and who would it be? Because you've got to take into consideration this is not a tourist area. Sheep range, Mojave Desert, it's a rough, desolate place in which experienced veteran-like hikers that know what they're doing will go, and others in between will stick to lower ground, of course, but the desert dogs like J. Chuck, SB Vegas Adventures, and to some extent Scott Natal, and maybe Sean Horlacher, they know what they're doing, but who else is out there? Because it's not being documented or really talked about, and why would people leave their ropes behind? Is there any possible link that that strange-looking supposed figure caught on camera was out there hiking alongside Scott Natal, and this could link to it? You never know. Scott Natal in the past, within the area, closer and more relevant to just over Wild Horse Pass, but a bit more north, came across rock formation where a tent was within the rocks and then later disappeared. Came across the bamboo concealed sword as well. Seems like Scott Natal comes across varying ranges of evidence and material, whether it links to Kenny or not. There seems to be a level of activity, and some people could be skeptical about that, but if we have a closer look at it on the next slide, we'll see what's really available and present. Now, there is another slide in which it's in a different spot, but I don't know if it's the same exact rope, and if it's not, whether it's by the same exact person or not. But the way it appears to be, it looks like it's just been tossed around a little rock boulder or so, and then the big one on top. It's not really tied properly. It looks really loose, but the quality of it looks fairly recent, as like what Scott says. So who is it? Who's responsible? Why would they leave it behind? And what was their aim? Because, you know, some people could go out there just hiking, but because of what the area is known for and the whole Kenny Veach legend and the M Cave mystery, most people would be going out for that particular reason and would be sticking to the lower ground area more so, unless some were trying to do a recovery mission in locating Kenny. And from this perspective, that's looking back the way Scott Natal came up, and that's what he was facing. So that's his front view, and behind him was that. And it does drop down there. I know it's not that clear. I guess Scott was able to try and climb up to some extent or work around. But, you know, the way the camera switches and flashes quickly, it's hard to keep up with the footage, if you know what I mean. But in terms of roughly in the area documenting what's present, it's just interesting when things like this show up, because you're not expecting it to, when most of the hikers that have been out there don't really come across that much. See, as of course I'm not an expert when it comes to ropes and harnesses, but definitely used for like rock climbing, climbing up slopes, and even descending with the clips, whether you call it a carabiner, hook or clip, whatever. It's been used, likely, but who by and for what exact purpose and reason, and it looks fairly new. And you could see him pulling it. It is wrapped around that little rock down there, which just doesn't seem secure enough. But then again, maybe it was enough just to do a slight little descent or ascending, and that was mainly it. However, in a different spot, whether it's nearby or not, a small looking crevice, there's another rope, whether it's the same or not, with a clip, whether it has been fed through and it links to this one, maybe, or if it's separate, they've been left behind. And why would that be the case? When looking closer, you can see the clip. You can see how it's, I don't know, it's like tangled or something. And then when panning upwards, what does it really lead to? It's very jagged and narrow. I can't imagine you climbing up in between that. But because of the way it's dangling behind the rock, has it been fed through? Because you got these other boulders kind of bouncing in between the crevice. Did they fall down? Was there a possible rock fall when someone was possibly climbing up to the top. Does it have any link or association with this one here from a different angle and perspective? It's kind of hard to track in Scott's video, but because of the rope being, well, appearing somewhat fresh or so, doesn't look that old, I guess you can't really link it to Kenny Veach unless you think otherwise. Be sure to leave your thoughts below. But does it have any link or attachment to that creepy finding caught on camera here, which is on the mountaintop area? It's following the theme of higher elevation. So where Scott Natal goes, what he comes across, which is recent, could be the fact that there is something or someone out there at the same time. And did Kenny Veach have the same encounters too? But unfortunately for Kenny, he wasn't as lucky. If there are any more updates, I will share them with you. If there's like location given roughly or pings, I can provide a map analysis, compare, contrast the distance from where Kenny was to where Scott was and break it down there. But I just wanted to give you a little update right now because I know things have been a bit quiet. When it comes to these creepy, strange findings, they need to be documented as soon as possible before footage goes missing, because that's happened many times before. As said, if you are new to the channel and need to follow and catch up, top playlist, right corner up there, covers every single video about. I hope you enjoyed the video though. Feel free to hit the like button, share the video so more people get to see it, and I'll see you next time. My name's Wallite Raff. Goodbye, good night for now.